then it was like just my job was job searching that summer. I thankfully finally landed some interviews later in August and then had gotten a job later in September. But from June through August, June, July, and August was all literally
So
just emailing people.
not to interrupt you, so you graduated in May, and then this is like June, July, and August is your job search, is what you're saying, or was this before your senior
Yeah.
year? This was after your
No,
graduation,
this was after graduation.
right? Okay, okay.
Yeah. So this was, yeah, I mean, that's what it was. I'd wake up. I mean, I was just researching firms, just different architecture forums, websites. I was on Google Maps, type in architecture firm, architecture, just like over different cities, like hovering over DC, Baltimore, Philly, like just
Hmm.
literally, that's literally it. And then
And you
just
were looking
literally
for a
like,
city. You wanted to be in a city, is what you were kind of looking for because of the type of
well,
work you wanted to do.
yeah, I mean, there are firms like obviously not in the bigger cities, but the type of work's very limited. And, uh, I mean, if there was like a job I was very interested in Central PA, like I would have looked there.
Right.
It's just tough. Like the majority of the firms are in the larger cities here. I mean, there's good ones in smaller cities too, but I mean, I was primarily looking New York, Boston, New York, Philly, Baltimore, DC. I mean,
Okay.
Northeast Mid Atlantic, like, and there's the nice thing about being from Central PA, like, there's, I mean, like 5, 6 major huge cities within 5 hours
Right.
of us,
Right.
like
Right.
all of
It's a good
those.
central location. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so I was kind of looking all over, and then I even extended further, like Richmond, Charlotte, because I wasn't getting any traction, and just had a spreadsheet of the firm, where they're located, who I contacted, when I need to follow up, and just
Right.
all summer going through this list. And so it just became a cycle of, all right, I'm emailing or reaching out to these people this day. I'm researching more places. Tomorrow I got to do these places in this day. And I
Yeah.
just did that weeks and weeks and weeks, 6, 7 hours a day. That was my job. And
It's like a full
finally,
time job almost, just trying to find one. Right. It's crazy.
yeah, because I'm not just looking at firms, I'm looking for firms I'm interested in. I'm looking up
Exactly.
alumni.
You were going
Are
to
there,
settle. You didn't want to settle.
is there, yeah. And like, do I have some sort of connection to this firm already that could help me out? So I'm trying to do even deeper research into like
Hmm.
who I should contact there. Like, is there an
Right.
alumni? Do I know someone who knows someone? And I mean, there's great resources out there too. Like I highly recommend using LinkedIn, like create a LinkedIn profile. And people think it's stalkerish or weird that people like it notifies you when someone looks at your profile. Like, just get over it. It's fine.
Yeah. It's
It
how it
doesn't
is.
matter. I was looking at everyone's. I
Right.
mean, I was looking at everyone's. I look at like every person from the whole firm,
Yeah.
and you just like it's not a big deal.
Nah.
But
That's
I
what it's
mean, and
for. You
then
want people to look at them.
it's
Like,
huge
I
because
mean,
then you get to see like where they went to school, where they worked previously, who they know, who you may know,
hmm.
and it's amazing. You can like filter by, you can like type in a firm, filter by city, or type in a name. Like, it was really good resource in finding firms, finding a person I want to contact. I definitely recommend it. And finally August came, and then I started getting some interviews. Had a couple offers. They all happened to be in DC, Marylandish area.
Hmm.
It kind of came down to like Philly and the DC, uh, Marylandish area. And so, yeah, I accepted a job down in just outside DC in Virginia,
Okay.
and I've been working there for 2.5 years.
Gotcha.
An architecture
Gotcha.
engineering firm.
Okay. So just to kind of like wrap up like the job search, um, it was a pretty intensive thing, right? And it was something that you obviously your situation is a little bit different. Maybe your field it might be a little bit different than some who are looking for jobs a little bit more, um, specific. Obviously, the type of work is clearly you went to school for that specific degree. You wanted to work in specific types of architecture, so it was a grind, but it was obviously something that you just had to do every single day, and eventually it paid off. What would you say? Like how many interviews did you get, just to like kind of put things in perspective? Because I know like personally I applied for, I don't know the number, I couldn't remember the specific number, but I got a fraction, like it was a small fraction. Sometimes I didn't even get replies from
Oh,
jobs. So like,
dude,
what would you say?
I've
Like you probably had to put out feelers to a bunch of different people, and how many, what was the ratio to reaching out versus what came back for an interview, if that makes sense?
5% maybe.
It's crazy. But I think that's
I
something a lot of people could identify with.
I I interviewed maybe 6 or 7 places, and I happened to get like 4 or 5 offers.
Okay.
And but if you break it down by firms, and then like some firms have different locations, so that's
Right.
basically kind of like a separate firm. I mean,
Yeah.
it was well over 100 for sure that
To get
I
like
had
six or
reached
seven
out
interviews.
to. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, I received a good amount of responses. The response
Hmm.
rate was probably, I don't know, I probably heard from like 30 to maybe like 40. It was definitely
Okay.
a good response rate, and because I was definitely
Yeah.
targeting alumni,
Right.
and so it's easier to get a response when you have someone from the same school, and like in the subject line you literally put like Virginia Tech graduate or school grad, like whatever your school is, put graduate in the
Hmm.
subject so they know immediately like that's where you graduated from.
Right. 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 Right.
um like just they're gonna like there's just that connection. So don't be afraid to use that. Don't be afraid to use your alumni network.